Hola amigos, this is Level 12 and today we are going to be talking about the top 10 The Walking Dead game villains. Now, this is The Walking Dead game, so all the seasons minus season 3. In my world, season 3 of The Walking Dead doesn't exist. Javier, the Jesus looking dude, Javier's little siblings or his stepkids or whatever, his wife, his brother, they all don't exist. That season doesn't exist. In my world, it's dead. What's The Walking Dead Season 3? I only know The Walking Dead Season 1, the 400 Days DLC, The Walking Dead Season 2, and The Walking Dead Season 4. That's all I know. That's all I care about. So, do not be in the comments like, oh, you missed this villain, because it's probably from Season 3. And I don't care about Season 3. It doesn't exist. Anyways, we're going to be talking about some of the top 10 The Walking Dead game villains. Now, there isn't exactly a lot of villains in this game. You more or less stick with one or two villains throughout the entire the games or the seasons that you play. So forgive me, because some of this list is a little bit of a stretch, but just deal with it. So number 10 is the Russian gang that you faced near the end of Season 2. Listen, 10 was either going to go to the Russian gang or the Save-Lot Bandits. I chose the Russian gang because they were scarier to me. The Save-Lot Bandits, you kind of saw that you dealt with them throughout episode 3. Yeah, throughout episode 3, the start, you saw that, like, you had been dealing with them. You saw them in in episode 2, season 1. Like, the Save-Lot Bandits were more of a nuisance than anything else, but the Russian gang came out of the woods with machine guns, it looks like. I can't tell from this picture. Also, the Russian gang, they had so much potential to be scary. I just think the way, what was it, episode 4 that this was? The way episode 4 ended was bad, because the way it ended was Clementine ended up shooting Rebecca, which made everyone else shoot. Like, these villains could have been a lot more scary than they were. They just kind of were one and done. But they had so much potential. Like, you have a scary Russian guy full of tattoos. Like, he could have been some creepy Russian gang leader. I mean, I don't know how many Russians are in, like, West Virginia, which is where they were. But so much potential was lost with the Russian gang, which is why they're 10. They didn't really kill a lot of people. It was mostly just Arvo and his broke leg. Oh, Arvo. He reminds me of Ben, but a better Ben. Number 9, we have Vernon. So, Vernon is 9, and he's a villain because I trusted Vernon, like, full-on trust of Vernon, until he was like, let me take Clementine with me and my survivors. And I was like, no. Vernon, you're not taking my children, or Lee's kid. And, like, after that, you kind of become wary of Vernon. Like, Vernon is kind of distrustful. And then when you wake up the next morning, Vernon isn't there and Clementine isn't there, so you full-on suspect he took Clementine. Until later you realize he just went back to get his gang of old people to steal a boat, which I still have no idea how the old people who are in cancer remission beat up... If you had some people left behind to guard the boat, they beat up the people and lock them in the boat. Somehow Vernon was able to do that with his old people, and he is old. Vernon was just a surprise, like, slight villain, and he got what he deserved in the 400 days. Vernon was annoying, and he stressed me out that I thought he took Clementine, and it was just a huge stress, and I full-on trusted him, and he just backstabbed us. Ugh, I can't deal with that. Number 8 is Lily. Lily is so high on this list because we already saw her betray us once. Like, Lily, okay, yeah, she was a great villain for season, 1, when she just up and shot Carly or accidentally shot Doug, and then, took the van if you kept her in the RV. But, in the final season, it wasn't really surprising that Lily would turn on Clementine, because it's been, 7 years since they last saw each other, and Lily was already, kind of didn't really like Clementine. I don't know why, but she just really didn't like anyone at the motor pool. And, I mean, Lily, yeah, she was scary, she was a leader, and it was kind of like, oh my gosh, Lily! But, was it really, though? Lily hadn't seen Clementine in years. You don't know how someone changes in that time. And also, Lily had shot someone. It was either accidentally or just out of pure paranoia. You already saw her, breaking. So she wasn't that scary or surprising or really even that smart. Lily was just kind of ruthless in a way that you had already seen her. Like, Lily didn't change much. She was still the ruthless leader, and she got what she wanted. She was a leader of some, like, military group or whatever. And, like, yeah, she's kind of cool, but was she really that scary? Was she really that surprising? Like, Lily was just Lily. I wanted to see more of a ruthless change to her, and maybe even kill Clementine, or attempt to kill Clementine, rather than be like, join my gang. Kind of, just to show just how ruthless she really was. I mean, she wasn't above killing kids, like, that's obvious, but, like, who isn't in these times? Like, we've literally seen so many adults kill so many other kids. It wasn't surprising. It would have been better if she had tried to kill Clementine, or had succeeded in killing Clementine. Would have made her a better villain, and would have made her a lot scarier than just what we had already seen in season 1. She didn't really change that much. It was just shocking after, like, 3 seasons and 2 DLCs that we see her again. Number 7 is Marlin. Now, some of y'all may be like, Marlin? And I'm like, yes. Originally I had him in the top 5, so, like, cut me some slack. So Marlin, I kind of trusted him at the start of season 4. Like, it wasn't a full-on trust like with Vernon or even Lily to an extent. I didn't really like Lily, to be honest. But, like, because Marlin was a kid and Clementine was a kid, I was inclined to, like, trust him, and he had, like, done so well as a leader so far, and he wasn't... Because a lot of the people that first meet Clementine are really, like, wary of her, and Marlin was more accepting because she had been on the outside and had known the outside. Marlin was just a better guy all around, but, dude has a dark side. We see him kill his girlfriend out of complete anger, and he'd actually try to kill Clementine, secretly, and then he blames his girlfriend's death on Clementine. Boy, was that a turn. He was a short-lived villain, but for his time, he was very effective. Like, you don't see the backstabbing. Like, yeah, we know he has anger issues, but, like, anyone under that kind of stress at this young of age, it's kind of forgivable. Kind of not fully, but, like, you understand he's under a lot of stress. But then, like, he just up and backstabs Clementine. First of all, he kills his girlfriend. Like, yeah, it was accidentally he killed his girlfriend, but, like, he still killed her. Like, in a fit of anger, he killed her. And then you find out that he gave away two of the people, a girlfriend of one and 2 sisters to another. Explain that. Explain that. Oh my gosh. Marlin just had such a huge turn that it came right out of left field. Don't know where it came from. Left field, as I said again. And it was insane. It was honestly insane. And that was a good twist. But yeah, he was number 7 because he's not as good as some of the other villains on this list. But, like, Marlin's little twist was, like, it was, like, shocking, but it was good. It did what it needed to do, and it was great. He was great for his short time in season 4. Oh, geez. Number 6 is Minerva, also known as Minnie. And Minerva is number 6 because all that we had been hearing about Minnie and Sophie from Violet and the rest of the group was they were 10 sisters, and they were, like, a part of the group. They were great. They were friends. It was Violet's ex-girlfriend. It was... Minnie and Minerva had been built up to be these kind of angelic characters, but when we actually meet Minerva, she's changed. She looks really cool. There was some really cool, like, early design art for her, for a lot of the kids in the, boarding school. I forget what the name of it. Stonewall? No. Oh god, no. No. Rip. But anyways, Minerva, we find her, and, she's changed. She let her sister die. I can't remember if she killed her sister, or if she just let her sister die. I can't exactly remember, but, she's the surviving twin, and she's not even fazed that her sister is dead, and she full-on accepts the war that she's in. I think she's been brainwashed, obviously, but, like, she's such a tough character, and she just turns her back on, like, her ex-girlfriend. Not so much her brother, because, like, she still want to protect her brother, but she turned her back on her twin sister, and, like, I feel twins are closer than regular siblings just because they are twins. And, like, Minerva just kind of And she doesn't stop. Like, you shoot her, she comes back. A bunch of walkers, she comes back. And, like, she has one of the coolest, like, final entrance scenes ever of her just coming up on the bridge singing. And it is intense. That is an intense fight. Now, it's an annoying fight, but it's an intense fight. And the way Minerva just, like, how much she's built up and how much she changes just is really cool. And she just... I feel like it wouldn't have been as good if Minerva was actually dead. They did a really good job of, like, making it so she was dead. I mean, after, like, it's found out that they were traded to the war, you kind of just assume they're dead because, like, they were mostly just cannon fodder, but to see her actually, like, move up in the ranks of this military, a war thing is really cool. Minerva's just a cool character. I mean, she is kind of annoying. Her last fight's kind of annoying with how you have to kill the walkers and try to shoot her. But just her entering and singing and just being like, 10, we can go together. And you know 10 would have full on died with her. And it was great. Number 5 is Abel. I liked how Abel was, like, hinted at with all the cigarettes of the Bible verses. I feel like that's a really cool character trait thing. Just my opinion. But also, Abel could have been the next Nate. We'll get to Nate later, but Abel acted like Nate in the sense that Abel was cruel and didn't really care and was just there in the moment. Like, he had his loyalty to Lily and the Delta until, like, the very end, but, like, from what we saw of Abel, he was cruel and he was callous. But it wasn't, like, a pleasurable cruel, like you could see with Nate and Carver. It was more of a cruel just because that's how the world needed him to be. And he was cool in that way. And he died. And the reason he's 5 is because the way he died very, like, not honorably. To be honest. He died like a sniveling coward. And his body was used as a scarecrow. And it was great. But also, again, the cigarette thing with the Bible verses was a really cool trait. I think his eyes were also 2 different colors, which was also really cool. That's heterochromia, I believe. He was just a very interesting character that didn't... I mean, he got fleshed out more than, like, some of the other villains. But I feel like if he had been the main antagonist rather than Lily, this would have been a little... Season 4 would have been a little bit better, because I swear to God, they just brought Lily back to bring Lily back, like... Season 1 is over. We don't care. You already brought back Kenny, and look what happened to him. Ugh, whatever. I feel like Abel could have been a better villain if he wasn't overshadowed by Lily, because I do feel that's what happened to him. And it's sad. Number 4, we have the Stranger. He doesn't even get a name, but, like, we know about him since, like, the end of episode 3. And we just... Through episode 3 and episode 5 of the first season, we're just trying to figure out who he is and how to get to him. Because he somehow got on the radio frequency of Clementine and had been talking to her since the end of episode 2. Which is creepy and insane. Like, you don't know about him till the end of episode 3, but he had been talking to Clementine since the end of episode 2. And that is what unnerved me, because, like, this guy had been talking to her for a while, and he had been lying to her, saying, oh, I have your parents, I know where they are, I'm in Savannah with them. And, like, Clementine is so young and so, like, desperate. You can tell from how she speaks to Lee that she just wants to find her parents. That's what she cares about so much. And she had been manipulated by this guy to the point where she left Lee to go to him. And the Stranger was so out of his mind. He lost his son in a hunting accident in which his wife left him with their daughter to go after, like, Lee and them raided his, like, jalopy. And then he cuts off his wife's head and put it in a bowling bag. And somehow he survived getting all the way to Savannah. I don't know exactly how he did that. He couldn't have been on the train, I can guarantee you that. But it was creepy and weird. And he just has his wife's head in a bowling bag. And I even think he called Clementine by the, like, his daughter's name once or twice. He was just a weird guy. And he's also kind of like God in a way. Like, you sit down and you just kind of talk to him trying to get Clementine back, and he just like lists all the bad things you've done, and no matter what you do, he doesn't care. Like every decision you make, he just brings it up. Oh, you did this, you did that, you did all of these things. And there's a really good fan fiction. I don't know the name of it, but I read it, and it's the stranger sitting down with every character from season 1 and just listing their faults. Like the stranger is some unholy deity that you can't get to, but because he's unholy, he has his faults, but you can't really see that because he's just telling you your faults. It's an abusive relationship situation, I swear. But like, just that, how that happens is so cool, and you don't really, he's just a cool villain, but he didn't do a lot, to be honest. He wasn't, and what I mean by that was he didn't kill a lot of people. He wasn't like scary in his cruelty. He was just scary in a very manipulative and slow way, and that this guy was to the T creepy. That's what he was. He wasn't scary, but he was creepy and manipulative and had to be charismatic in some way to get Clementine to trust him. Right? Well, Clementine was more or less just a very trusting character, but like, again, the stranger, number 4, deserves the spot. Number 3 are the St. Johns. So it's just all of them. Maybe should have put a spoiler warning, but whatever. So the St. Johns, right? The St. Johns, they were, I didn't trust Danny was the one in the blue shirt. We're just gonna go with Danny was the one in the blue shirt and Andrew was the one in the black shirt. I can't really remember right now. Yeah. Danny was the one in the blue shirt because he's similar to Danny on the prison bus. But anyways, I trusted Andrew more so than I trusted Danny because, first of all, Danny just acted a lot creepier and he was a lot more into the killing and all that jazz. And when you went with him, with Lee to go scope out the bandit camp, it was not good. And Andrew was more like friendly and whatever. And then Brenda was just, schmoozing with Larry. And Brenda was just really a nice southern old woman, and they were all, except for Danny, very trusting, and you felt kind of safe in their farm. And it was one of the last times in this game that you really feel safe on their farm, and it's all a big hoax. You find out later in Search of Mark. It wasn't until Kenny brought it up that they were hiding things that I started to distrust them, but I still I fully believe, I trusted Kenny, but in the back of my mind I'm like, oh, Kenny's just being Kenny because Kenny's a redneck and he's a suspicious dude. It's not until I found Mark legless in a bathroom that I stopped trusting them. And the fact that they're just so... I trust... Because this is before all the bad things happen, so you're still in that mode of you can trust people. They're just such a big turn from, oh yeah, we're nice farm people, we have a fence, all that jazz. We cut people up and we kill them. And their reasoning is so listen, I'm from the South, so I understand their reasoning. It's that Brenda literally says, I was taught not to waste. I can't do a thick Georgian accent, but yeah, I'm taught that too, but not eating people, not doing that. And see, Brenda and Andrew see it more as something they have to do to survive, but Danny actually seems like he gets joy from it, which is creepy. And it's just, and you can't say, oh, they don't want to do it, they just have to. If they really didn't want to do it, then they wouldn't. They wouldn't just sit there and eat people and lure people to their farm with biscuits. And it's not just that. They're not the only ones eating it. They're also giving it to the bandits for protection, and it's creepy. They got a system going on here. They lure people. It's creepy, and you don't know how long this has been going on. It's been going on for a while. You figure enough of that out, and it's just weird. It's gross. It was they were such a big turn in such a correct amount of time. It was they were great, creepy but great. Number 2 is Nate, and Nate is one of my favorite video game villains. If you played the 400 Days DLC in order, and if you were observant enough, you would have seen Nate, or recognized that it was Nate, who was chasing Wyatt and Eddie, and then when you went to play Russell's story, you're like, hey, you're the dude that chased so-and-so, and if you didn't play it in order, you missed that. Rip. But Nate, you see him as a dude who really doesn't care that it's the zombie apocalypse. Like, he just rolls up to Russell and was like, hey, what you doing? And like, most people hid, and you saw the body of Carly or Doug, and Nate was just like, what you doing down there with your partner? And it's just weird. And like, he openly accepts Russell for whatever reason, and then starts asking him questions and telling him about how he sees the world, and it's all very unnerving. And Russell is already an untrusting character, so you can feel his unease after leaving his group and being with Nate, and then Nate is just very creepy about this one Walker chick, and it's gross. Then when they pull up into a gas station, they get shot at, and then Nate threatens to kill these two old people. I mean, it's not like the old people didn't deserve it, but they did. But you could have just left, leave your truck. Nate was so cruel, and in certain dialogue options, Russell can say, the dude Steve was just like, are we gonna kill these folks and take all their stuff or what? And then Nate repeats that line, and it's just, so he's been paying attention, and it's just really cruel. And Nate is such, he's unhinged because you had seen him in the Wyatt and Eddie the chapter, that he was so upset about his friend dying that he chased these two people down, shooting at them from his truck. He's just insane. Like, full on insane. And he's cruel, but he's also kind of dumb. Like, to be honest, he's kind of dumb, but he's just such a cool villain that you're kind of forced to trust him. I don't think there's any other villain on here that you're just kind of forced to go with, because if you refuse to get in his truck the first time, then you basically have walkers trying to kill you. I don't think there's any other villain that you're forced to trust. And I mean, like, you already trust Vernon and the St. John's, but you're not forced to trust them. You're tricked into trusting them. Nate, you are forced to trust with your life or die by walkers. Which, I love that. It's great. For number 1, we have Carver. Or Bill. Or William. I don't really care. I like to call him Carver. Carver is this man that you hear about all throughout episode 1 and season 2. You vaguely see him in episode 2, and then in episode 3, 4, you like live with him, basically. Carver is a cruel character and a calculating character. I really wish a few things had been done. He goes out and he like sends out his people and was like, hey, we have this town here, yada yada yada. And he started out not a bad guy, but the power kind of went to his head, and he went through such lengths to get back the woman he loved. Because he's insane, first of all. He's really insane. He went through such lengths to get back the woman he loved. He killed a bunch of people. He broke Carlos's fingers without a second thought. He pushed Raj off a building. He, really didn't care, and up until the end, he was still, like, cruel and mean and was very manly. Even when Kenny was bashing his face in. Didn't care. And he beat up Alvin, Rebecca's husband, and he was manipulative to Clementine as well. Like, he was like, oh, you're different than them. I can tell who you are on the inside. He was very manipulative and creepy, and he had this very weird religious guy vibe. Like, over the microphone, he's like, oh, some lambs have been lost, but they're back to the flock, and we have to have forgiveness in our hearts. I feel like Hal's could have been a lot better if it had some creepy, weird religious undertone. Like, that would have made Hal's a lot better and would have made him a lot better. I'm actually writing my own fan fiction for a different fandom where they go and it's a creepy religious cult, because those are kind of the creepiest, because I don't know, they're just creepier to me than any other type of cults. And he was and he was able to keep a level head for most of the thing, that you only see him get super crazy near the end. And it's not even he got crazy, he just got angry. But it's not angry like Marlin, where Marlin lost control. It was like controlled anger. Carver was just, you knew he was a villain right off the bat. You heard all these bad things about him, and when you met him, he was really intimidating. He had that charisma, that manipulation. You understand how people like fell for his little like town, but like some could see beyond it because he was just a really cool villain. I hate to use the word cool, but he was a very well thought out villain, and the actor that played him very well. So, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this list. It might not fit your list, but I don't really care. It's my list. And also, Season 3 still doesn't exist, so don't at me about any of the villains, but comment down below what you thought about this list, anyone you would have had that's not from Season 3, and maybe tell me your own list, not mentioning any characters from Season 3. I will not care. Anyways, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more anime and otaku related content. Ciao, chicos!